On today's episode, I'll talk with Steve King, CEO of Meals on Wheels Tampa. We'll be discussing a wide range of topics from hurricane prep, high school organizers, and Steve's retirement after nearly 20 years with Meals on Wheels. All that and more on this episode of Behind the Meal. Hello, and welcome to Behind the Meal. Join me as we delve into the stories behind Meals on Wheels, meeting the incredible people who make it all happen. Today we welcome Steve King, the CEO of Meals on Wheels of Tampa. Steve is one of the Tampa Bay area's most respected nonprofit leaders, recently recognized as an Apogee Award Winner for Large Nonprofit CEO of the Year. For nearly 2 decades, Steve has led this incredible organization. Thank you for joining us on Behind the Meal.
Thanks, Dave, and thanks for having me, and thanks for doing this. This is very cool that you're putting this podcast together to help other organizations who are serving homebound and seniors across the country.
Well, like we were speaking about a little bit earlier off there, it's been fun, and if nothing else, I get to do some networking and we'll connect some people, and it's been a lot of fun just to do the research and learn on my end, and hopefully pass that knowledge on to others too.
Very good.
Well, tell us a little bit about your community you're serving in Tampa Bay.
So we are Meals on Wheels of Tampa. We serve the greater Tampa community, which I know for folks in other parts of the nation, they won't realize that. But basically, the city of Tampa and its suburbs beyond the city limits.
Okay.
We deliver to about 1,000 homes every day. We do hot meals once a day around the noontime hour. And on Friday, along with the hot meal, 2 frozen meals are brought for the weekend. All those meals are made here. We have a beautiful corporate kitchen in a new building we built 5 years ago. And so that's what we do, caring for the homebound and seniors of our community.
What's the mentioned a little bit about your building and your kitchen. What does that structure look like? What's that kind of a typical day look like?
Well, the first of our 4, we have about just under 50 employees, and the first of our 4 chefs gets here about 4:30 each morning. Starts preparing the meal for the day. Everything's made fresh each day. By about 9 o'clock, everything is sealed and on our trucks and out to 18 different drop-off points throughout the city. The volunteers meet the trucks, pick up their hot bag and cooler, go deliver their route. We have 112 routes every day.
Wow.
Each one with 7 or 8 up to 13 or 14 people on it. And then, of course, they drop off their hot bag and cooler back at the drop-off site when they're done. The next day, our trucks will pick up the empties and drop off the full ones for the next day's volunteers.
Wow. And then start all over again.
Yep.
And you're making your meals in-house, which, a lot of organizations do. Some do a mix, cater in and out. Here, where I work here in Minneapolis, we do mostly, we have a kitchen where most of the meals are made, but we do some outside of that too, especially for like culturally specific meals. And do you do any kind of meals, outside of just the what you would call your standard meals?
Yeah. We don't use meals from outside vendors. We do have 3 diets that are part of our menu. We have a heart healthy diet, which is our standard menu, if you will.
Sure.
We have a diabetic friendly, about 10% or so take our diabetic friendly, and we have a renal friendly diet, and about 2 to 3% of our meals are renal.
Okay. And like most Meals on Wheels programs, I assume you're serving primarily seniors. And do you have,
Primarily,
yeah, what
but
are some of the other folks you serve?
yeah, so couple things about that. I know you know Dave
Hmm.
because we talked about it off air, but one of the things that make us distinct, if not unique, among Meals on Wheels organizations is that we are completely privately funded. We don't receive any government monies
Hmm.
to fulfill our mission, not federal, state, or local. We're funded by the community and for the community, if you will. And our community has been very generous in helping us do that. Our
Sure.
organization is 50 years old, and uh, that's been the case for all 50 years. So, that said, we're supported by obviously the generosity of many donors throughout the
Hmm.
Tampa Bay area, but also by social entrepreneurial effort that we have. Uh, where we serve other nonprofits with food needs. We prepare their meals for them. They pay us full price for their meals. We're
Hmm.
competitively priced. And then those monies that we get from that go right back into feeding our homebound seniors. So we actually do about 2,200 meals a day in all.
Wow.
And
That you're producing 2,200 in your kitchen.
correct,
Okay.
correct. Yeah. And the partners, the nonprofits that we
Hmm.
serve, which are mental health centers,
Hmm.
uh, rehab centers, but they're all nonprofits. Um, we didn't want to get in when we started this entrepreneurial venture 15 years ago. We didn't want to like do weddings or those.
No, no.
Yeah, we wanted to serve other organizations that were making a difference in the community.
Sure.
So we can give them competitively priced meals, great food, very, very proud of our food. It's restaurant quality stuff. And we can provide them with good meals for those they serve. And in turn, they're helping us to care for our homebound and seniors, which of course is our primary mission.
For sure. So these you're almost in a sense providing congregate meals to these nonprofits.
In a sense,
Yeah.
mostly when folks talk about congregate meals, they're talking about meals being served at a site for homebound and seniors
True. Yeah.
specifically. Ours go a little bit beyond that. Being
Hmm.
privately funded, we made the decision several years ago, 10 or 15 years ago, that we would not only serve seniors, but we would serve anyone who is homebound or disabled at any age. So we've
That's great.
served people as young as, 22, 23, and obviously to well over 100. Most of our folks
Yeah.
are seniors,
Hmm.
and but not all the homebound are seniors,
No.
as you well know.
And I'm almost afraid to ask this, but I gotta ask during COVID, what did that model look like? Because I mean,
Yeah,
a lot of people are homebound.
yeah, absolutely. We were open every day during COVID, although we drastically shifted our mission model during that time.
Hmm.
Instead of daily hot meals, we were delivering at first 7 frozen meals a week, and then we went to 2 hot meals and 5 frozen, and eventually got back to where
Sure.
we are, which is 5 hots and 2 frozens each week. Um, yeah, there was a lot of scrambling that time, and we had, the one of the other unique things about this area we serve is that We actually have five different Meals on Wheels programs in our county.
Wow.
We have a county program
Mm-hmm.
which does all frozen meals. And then we have three smaller Meals on Wheels in parts of the county that we don't serve.
Okay.
So there's a lot of confusion, at the phrase that you mentioned before we came on the air. When you see one Meals on Wheels, you've seen one
One
Meals
meal.
on Wheels. All of them are different, but
Right.
in our area, we use the hot meal delivery program, which, you know, again, I'm not saying anything that most Meals on Wheels folks don't know. The meals are vital for that nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
but it's that daily
Mm-hmm.
volunteer visit, that
Yeah.
social connection that is so vital to so many of the recipients we serve.
No, it just that piece of it, I think, gets lost outside of the work
Yeah,
we all know that, and the people getting
yeah,
those meals certainly know it.
yeah,
But we're what is it more? It's much more than a meal.
absolutely.
The
More
meal
than
is
a
almost
meal
the
for
excuse to
sure.
do the visit.
Right. And we do a lot of other programs that, I'm sure many other organizations do as well. We deliver a birthday cake on each recipient's birthday through the year. We deliver a hurricane pack. Hurricanes are a big thing in our
Sure.
areas.
Hmm.
And so we want folks to be prepared, full of five shelf-stable meals,
So
water.
you'll serve that, like you'll deliver those at some point during the year for them
Yeah,
to
we do
hold
that
on to.
first thing
Yeah.
in June usually.
Okay.
And then we deliver a big holiday bag full of gifts from donations throughout the community. We have our Animals program, which is for pets, which many
Hmm.
Meals on Wheels organizations have. So, and do all the, cards and flowers at various times of years.
For sure. Yeah, you're up here. We're in Minnesota. We have our blizzard bags. So similar.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Some are
We
just
just we
for
just
your
packed them
part of the
up and they're
week.
going out this over the next few weeks right now. So
Yeah. And one of the other things that we do that I love and that some Meals on Wheels have copied, which I think is great, is once a month on a Saturday, we have what we call Produce on Wheels, where we deliver a bag of fresh produce, fruit,
yeah.
bananas, lettuce, apples, all that kind of stuff. Our recipients love our hot food, but sometimes they want to make their own salad or just bite
Hmm.
into a piece of fruit. And it also gives us the opportunity to um, use kind of a new volunteer base
Sure.
because delivering Monday through Friday the noontime hour, a lot of folks can't do that because of work. But a Saturday delivery time enables families to go out together. So there's a lot of kids and families, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
been a great success for us.
And you're purchasing the fruit and vegetables too. That's not
We
coming
do,
from
we
yeah.
do. We
Okay.
purchase some fruit and vegetables, correct?
Okay. Do you talk a little bit about your funding, your all private funding, your model? Do you have any? Do folks pay for meals at all, or are all meals cost free, sliding fee scales, things like that?
Yeah, all of that.
All of that.
We have, our intake process is just a phone call. We don't have a social worker go to the house or
Hmm.
anything. It's just a phone call. And during that time, a series of questions are asked to determine their financial need. Nobody is ever, 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 nor had they ever been in our 50-year history, turned away for financial reasons. And
Okay.
that's, of course, thanks to the generosity of this community and their great support for us.
Hmm.
But, we have about 20% that pay full price for their meal, which is $5.50, a
That's pretty
great
good.
meal delivered to their doorstep. You can't even get a Big Mac for that
No,
nowadays.
and you got to go pick
Uh,
that up.
Right. And then we have about 65% that pay on a sliding scale,
Hmm.
everything from a quarter to $4. And then we have 15 to 20% that don't pay anything. They simply can't afford it. And that's all determined through that initial intake phone call.
Sure.
And, one of the things I'm always proud of is we can once that person calls in, we can get them on a route the next day,
Yeah.
So there's not a long waiting period for anybody to get on our program. We can serve them almost immediately.
That's great. It would, yeah, I mean, that's obviously an advantage. I'm sure you would see it to not taking, government funding and not have to going through a lot of paperwork and approval processes. What are there other things you would say are kind of some of the advantages to a private funding
Well,
model?
you've certainly highlighted a major one,
Yeah.
not having to go through all the audit, and which understandably need to come with government funding. I mean, I get that.
Hmm.
But I think the private funding model, we do one major event each year, inviting 550 to 600 business leaders and community leaders to the event to raise support. And, uh, you know, the other thing about private funding, I think it gives a sense of pride, if I can use that word, pride in a good way,
Hmm.
to our community to know that they're supporting our community through their gifts to Meals on Wheels. So there's certainly a lot of uh, development with donors, and many of them then become involved as volunteers and, right on down the line.
Yeah. What that pride in the community do you give out any kind of, you know, if I'm a business or I'm a foundation and I give, money to Meals on Wheels Tampa, do they get like a sticker to put in their window or something on their website? Like I gave them.
Well, we don't do stickers on windows, but we
No, I
do
know, but
have, recognition in several different levels, um, depending on,
hmm.
depending on what they give, they're at this level of recognition, which can include signage, websites,
Great.
special luncheons where we can have their business or organization come and do a lunch and learn with us and all kinds of other things. So for us, however, I will say that we certainly get a lot of community and foundation support,
Hmm.
but the crux of our support comes from individuals
Okay.
and families.
Sure.
We invite people to become what we call sustainers.
Mm.
Uh, and that's where people pledge for a 5-year period at over $1,000 a year. And so we have about 240 families that are
Wow.
part of our sustainer family. You know, the bottom being 1,000 a year, the most being 20,000 a year.
Mm.
And that is really helpful for our cash flow.
Yeah.
And again, we recognize our sustainer family and do some
Mm.
special things for them throughout the year. So that's kind of the crux of our funding model. We get business support and foundational support and are appreciative of that. And
Sure.
we have many businesses that do an adopt route model where
Mm.
businesses will say every Tuesday we'll do this route, and they use their employees to deliver that route. So it gets a lot of grassroots involvement with the mission, which is good.
Okay. And well, you mentioned earlier too that pride in giving, I think, when you folks from the area, it kind of reminded me too, some folks that will give towards their meal, maybe a quarter or a dollar, not even,
Right?
But it's
right?
just they're feeling like they're contributing. They're not
Exactly.
living off of somebody else's dime. It's what they can
Right.
do.
They have a little skin in the game,
Yeah.
and every recipient is treated with dignity and respect. So if they can't pay, we
Hmm.
understand that too. But we try to find some pricing that they feel comfortable with. If you're talking a quarter a day, you're talking, I don't know what's 30 for a month, you're talking what, maybe $7, $8.
Hmm.
But it makes them feel like they're
Right.
contributing, which is good.
No, but it's good for their health to
Yeah,
feel part of it all too.
absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
the other side of that private model, what would you say maybe are some of the challenges that you face with not taking government funding? I mean, it sounds like a lot of pluses, but
Yeah, yeah. I guess the reality that we are always um, developing uh, uh, individuals to
mhm.
support our mission. I mean,
Hmm.
that's a good and a bad.
We should be
You're
doing that anyway, but
right.
right.
It's relational very much. Our whole donation model is very relational. But the reality is we have to raise the money because if it doesn't come from what we raise, it's not
Hmm.
coming from some other source. And, just to be 100% clear, I love all Meals on Wheels programs and appreciate the great
Oh,
work
sure.
wherever their funding comes from. I was a president and started the Meals on Wheels of Florida, our state association.
Hmm.
Most of those folks are federally funded or, are
Hmm.
government funded.
Yeah.
And so much appreciate that work. It's just a different model. And for us, this model has worked.
No, that's
I've
great.
never been on the other side, and so I can't really speak too much about it.
Sure. And what's your elevator pitch when you're calling somebody up for the first time?
Uh, well, calling who up for the first time? Like,
Oh, a potential donor. You
well,
want
we don't do any cold calling, but
sure.
our event each year is set up where we have table captains and
Mm-hmm.
they invite nine other people to their table. And
Okay.
we have 63 tables or whatever
Hmm.
in this venue that we have. And that's where we introduce our
Got
mission
it.
to so many new people. And of course, we follow up with a phone call to every one of them, invite them to come down and see the mission.
Hmm.
And our experience has been, um, if we can get somebody down here to see what we do,
Yeah.
to taste our food,
Yeah.
to hear the testimonies of those we deliver to and the commitment of the staff,
Hmm.
they're going to give. And that's just the way our money goes where our heart is. And so we try to develop that
For
heart
sure.
part first.
Oh no, that's great. Okay, it's now I understand what you're doing there. So that you've got other folks talking to these individuals and then turning them into table leaders next at the next
That's
next
exactly
event.
right. That's exactly right. And we have a couple of what we call nourish at noons, which are basically lunch and learns.
Hmm.
Each month we have a couple of nourish at noons where anybody from the community is invited in to have lunch. We talk about our mission, take them on a tour of the kitchen, and they hear from some leaders in our organization. Those are always sources of new vitality to our
Hmm.
organization. There's always new folks coming in, seeing what we do. We don't ask for anything, it's completely free. And then we follow up with a phone call and say, could you see yourself being involved with us at any point? And so that's kind of the approach that we have, trying to develop the relationship first. And knowing that people are generous and they'll give as they can along the way.
That's great. Well, you talked a little bit about some of the other programs that you've got, like your Produce on Wheels and the animal meals,
Meals, yeah,
meals. I know I got to get that out.
yeah.
Meals. Looking at some of the other work you're doing, there was a couple of things that jumped out. One of them was the water on wheels, which was interesting.
Yeah,
Talk a little
yeah.
about that.
So the Water on Wheels program is if I can kind of take a step even before that,
Sure.
one of the things we're very proud of is we have a high school leadership board.
Hmm.
About 13, 14 years ago, we invited juniors and seniors from local high schools to come together as a high school leadership board for our mission. Their task then and still today, each year as they reconvene, is find a need or something that will bring joy to the recipients we serve. You plan it, carry it out, fulfill it. And the very first high school leadership board that we had um, recognized that dehydration among seniors.
Mm-hmm.
And so wanted to do what became our Water on Wheels program. And it's just delivering bottles of water each day with our meals. And that high school leadership board went to the Tampa Bay Lightning, our local hockey
Yeah.
team, and the Lightning sponsored that the first year,
Hmm.
first couple of years, buying water every day for every one of our recipients. And then Bank of America generously stepped in and shared that sponsorship. So
Wow.
that's how that program got started through our high school leadership board, which is very cool.
How,
Since then, they've done all kinds of
that's great.
things for our recipients. But yeah.
I was going to ask you about the high school piece. I didn't realize they were tied together. How long ago did that start, the high school leadership board?
I want to say 2000, I don't know, maybe 12. And you know
Okay.
how it started, Dave? I went to Meals on Wheels National Conference,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody suggested we really ought to get high schoolers together, the next generation to kind of connect with the homebound and seniors. And that's where the idea was seeded. And I came back and said, let's try it. Let's contact 8 or 10 high schools, see if they might have two people that have to be a junior or a senior
Mm-hmm.
that want to serve. And it's been going, it did stop for 2 years during COVID,
Sure.
but other than that, it's going great.
That's great. And I'm sure the students, something they can put on their college applications
Exactly.
well, frankly, carry it with them even past college. I don't know,
Yeah,
if you've
and
kept in touch with them, they still volunteer or anything, but
that's exactly right. We have some that are now regular volunteers because they're grown up and have
mhm.
jobs and all that stuff. We have some that come back just to say hi. We've had leaders come back and talk to the current high school leadership board about their experience when they were on it. So it's a very cool thing. Yeah.
That's great. When obviously you're talking about volunteers coming back too, but where do you get a lot of your volunteers? Where do you see them coming from? Are you recruiting them? Are they reaching out to you? Do you have partnerships with other nonprofits or businesses that you're working with?
Yeah, kind of a little of all that. I
Sure,
mean, some volunteers that we get have nothing to do with anything we do. There are people looking to volunteer and do good in the community. We
sure.
have two volunteer orientations each week,
Hmm.
one virtual and one in person. Um, and many of our volunteers come through our group day programs where a business will have a day of service
Mm,
and they'll send their employees to deliver 8 or 10 routes for us that day. And folks appreciate the opportunity to do that. And as we know, because our meal is served at midday,
yeah.
lot of folks are limited because of work. So we're always talking to, Kiwanis clubs and Rotaries and putting word out in retirement clubs of needed volunteers because
Right.
with 112 routes each day, we basically need 670 or whatever that is, uh, volunteers each week to carry out the mission. And so that's always, I think, probably like most Meals on Wheels, always a scramble to try it. But we had a great volunteer team
Yeah.
that
So I
does
mean,
their
you have an
best to
internal
recruit.
volunteer team that's kind of helping with
Yep,
recruiting
yep,
and the training and okay.
exactly.
Oh, that's great. And then I know so many programs, our volunteers don't look much different than the people we're serving meals to a lot of the time too.
Yeah.
Um, they can be uh, transitions sometimes from volunteer to recipient.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's funny you say that because next Wednesday, 6 days from now, we're having our 50th anniversary celebration. Meals on Wheels of Tampa was founded in 1975, and uh, it's interesting because some of the people that were volunteers a few decades ago are now recipients,
Sure.
and we're recognizing one woman at the event next week who was one of the founders 50 years ago,
Hmm.
and she's still at the age of 92. She can't walk much anymore, but she goes in the car with her driver. The
Ah,
driver delivers a meal. She bags up everything, and a lot of times the recipients will come out of their home to talk to her because, the relationship. So,
they've seen her for 20 years or 30
yeah, one of
years.
the beauties of Meals on Wheels model.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, one of the things I didn't mention is you've been there, what, 19 years or almost 20
It'll be
years?
20 years in March. I'm actually
Well,
retiring.
that's what I was going to say. This is
Yeah.
you're coming up at the end of the year here, right? And
Yeah. Actually, I will. We just completed. I say we. The board just completed an extensive search process. It was about a 5 month ordeal. Um, we just hired the new CEO. They will, or she will start December 1st, and
Mhm.
I'll overlap with her for a month or two just until she's comfortable, and she's wonderful. She'll do a great job.
And then you're going to leave and never look back. No, no,
Well, I'm going to leave. I've already been asked to
I'm
be
sure.
on the board. I do a volunteer thing every now and then, and but I said I got to just leave for 8 or 10 months to let the new person kind of
Sure.
establish their leadership. So I'll be involved. My heart's here. It's a
Mhm.
part of who I've been for 20 years. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
And the heart gets with the mission, and but feel very good about our future direction.
Well, what brought you even, well, not necessarily to Meals on Wheels Tampa originally, but what, into the nonprofit world at all?
Well, I was a full-time United Methodist pastor
Hmm.
prior to coming to Meals on Wheels.
Okay.
I went through a divorce myself 22 years ago and kind of took a step back from, I was with a large church at the time as a senior pastor, and I just took a step back. At the same time, Meals on Wheels was looking for a CEO, executive director,
Hmm.
and I thought that was a good stopgap measure, and it turned into 20 years. And, obviously, feeding people, caring for people, the
Yeah.
relational part of it, that's part of what I experience as a pastor and part of what I love. And so it's been a wonderful journey, both for me and hopefully for the organization along the way.
Well, I'm sure it has. But what, I'm sure you've been asked this 1,000 times recently and whatnot. But what, if you pointed to one or two things that you would say were, that maybe a proudest moment or a great moment or something you've put in place since you've been there. Obviously, none of us do this alone, but
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. And um, I guess so I'm very proud of the growth we've had. When I first came here, we were delivering 250 people a day. Now we're doing over 2,000 meals a day, delivering to about 1,000, 1,100 homes. Um, but the most valued thing for me has been the staff that I work
sure,
with, the donors, the volunteers. Those relationships just, they really do become family, as I know
yeah,
you know.
oh yeah,
And we did a capital campaign in 2018-19 to move into this new building to build a kitchen that could serve our growing need at the time, but that could also enable us to meet the needs of this community for the next couple of decades. And the folks, our donors, were so generous. We were able to move into the building debt free and on time. Not usually things you hear about with
right,
construction. And so Meals on Wheels, I think, is poised to continue to meet the needs in our community. And
hmm
with aging, as you know, so many across the country aging and
hmm
10,000 baby boomers a day retiring and all that good stuff,
right,
the needs are going to continue to grow. And
for sure.
I think we're poised financially, facility wise, and certainly with a great leadership team here who has all been here for several years to meet the need going forward. So that's what I'm proudest about.
That's great. Is there any big projects coming up that you're handing off or
Yeah, there's a few things going on. We are expanding into two areas of the county that we have not served previously.
hmm
One actually begins next month. The other we're going to do in the spring, even though I won't be here at that time. The new CEO will lead that effort. But so we continue to expand our geographic footprint in areas that I mentioned. We have 5 Meals on Wheels
hmm
in our county, in areas that don't have our type of services.
hmm
And so, very proud of that expansion. That's something we can only do because of the facility we now have. And we're growing our what we call our ambassadors program, which is our young professionals, 22 to 40 years
hmm
old. They let me attend, even though I'm missing by a few decades there. Uh, Seeing that this is only its third year of existence, but seeing that beginning to grow and so many younger folks understanding what we do and the
hmm
mission. And, Dave, I mean, it hits at the heart of every one of us because we all have family that has aged, grandmas, grandpas, moms, and
It's
dads.
one of my personal goals is to
Yeah.
age.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I never heard it that way, but I'm going to steal that. Um, but yeah, seeing the ambassadors, our young professional group, really take hold has been rewarding, and I want to see that continue to flourish as well.
That's wonderful. Well, this has been great. If folks want to reach out to you to volunteer, maybe talk about getting a meal if they're in the area, or anybody can donate. They don't have to be live in Tampa. So,
Yeah, no, that's right. And if people that are hearing this
mhm,
want to just talk and find out, something about one of
sure,
our programs, or please email me or call me. Our website
yeah,
is mowtampa.org.
okay,
Um, and my personal email is s.king at mowtampa.org. So
That's only good for
yeah,
2 more months, though.
that's right. That's right. And then it'll be somebody new. But
Yeah.
somebody here will get the email and respond
I'm sure.
assuredly.
I'm sure. Well, I'm sure you'll be missed, and I'm looking forward to, maybe I'll check in another, maybe next year or after that, and with the next CEO, and
Yeah,
see where
yeah,
things are
she would
going.
love it. I know. And I'm not saying her name yet because
No,
we're
that's
not
okay.
announcing it until next week. But she's been a friend in the community, has served
Good.
other nonprofit food organizations. I've known her for a decade and a half, and she brings a lot of experience and a great servant heart, which I think is one of the keys in
For
leading
sure.
this mission.
Well, it's what keeps us all going forward.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, thank you again, and good luck with everything.
Dave, thanks so much. I appreciate you doing this and love what you're doing, and great to talk with you.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
It was wonderful to speak to Steve and get his insights and experiences as he ends his Meals on Wheels career. Tampa has been lucky to have such a great leader in their community, and as we all heard, he's leaving this organization in a great place for the next generation of leaders. Good luck to Steve on his next adventure. And thank you for listening. Please subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes of Behind the Meal. Goodbye.